So in this video, I want to introduce ForexFactory. Now, the reason why ForexFactory is a very important website to me is because later in this course, we're going to be studying something called scalping. And this is primarily the website I use in order to effectively scalp a trade. I'll get into that in the next video, but right now I want to introduce ForexFactory and what it is and what it does. So essentially, I had mentioned earlier in the Forex course that trading is affected by real-world economic circumstances. And, you know, to further expand on that, you have things like the gross domestic product. You have interest rates from the Federal Reserve. You have non-farm employment change. You have retail sales. Consumer price index. There are so many economic statistics that are being released actually daily, all over the world from different currency pairs, that sometimes it can be overwhelming. But if you look closely, you'll notice that these statistics have a very close impact on what is happening in the Forex world. And that's because these currencies are linked to actual countries and actual economies. And so if the economy is doing well, so will their currency. Their currency will, in theory, become more expensive. Their exchange rates will go up, right? Vice versa. If the economy is doing bad, so will that currency. The price of that currency will devalue, and or it will decrease, and the exchange rate will fall. So with that being said, I'm going to show you a website that actually keeps track of pretty much all the important economic statistics that are being released for all the major countries or currencies that you're going to probably be focusing on for Forex. It has all those statistics you want to follow on one website, and it's super simple once you get to know it. So here we are. You can just type in here. I'll just type in ForexFactory.com, just so it's fresh, right? It's going to show up most likely just like this. Okay, so there's a couple things you want to do. You want to first of all make sure that you're in the correct time zone. So right now it is 7:35 p.m. 7:34 is basically the same thing. You want to go up here and just make sure that you're in the correct time zone. All right, so that it's very important. It's very important, trying to figure out what exactly it's very important for you to have this time zone correctly inputted, because it's gonna affect the time that you trade. You want it to be the correct time. So now I guess we'll go from left to right. So first of all, here's a time base so this is from September 1st all the way to September 7th. Right now the date is Thursday, September 5th, I believe. Yes, September 5th. And so these are all the important statistics that were released today. So you can actually change it from the weekly version, but I would recommend keeping it on the week. If you wanted to change it from the week, I believe you can go to filters, I believe. Actually, I cannot remember how to do that specifically right now. Actually, hold on. Yeah, exactly. So you go here, and you can change it to today, and you apply settings. You can only look at what's happening to today. You can do tomorrow, yesterday, and what I recommend is keeping it on the week so you have an overarching view of what's going to happen. Because sometimes you might fall asleep not knowing that there is an important trade happening at 12:30 a.m. that you should have been awake for. Okay, but you wouldn't have seen that if you were only looking at Monday. Okay, so I keep it on the week. Now, as you can see, the date is here all the way on the left, so Sunday, September 1st. That's pretty simple. I'm not going to waste too much time on that. Also, the time right here. So this is the time. These are the times. All right, so on top, here's the current time. Then below this are the times in which these certain statistics are going to be released. Okay? This is very important, because you want to set up your trade prior. We'll get into this into scalping, but you want to set up your trade prior to prior to this time. You want to have set your buy stops and your sell stops so that when the trade drops, you can make money. Okay. To the right of that is the currency. So these are the particular currencies, or if you think about it, the country in which these statistics are being released for. So for example, AUD, Australian dollar. NZD is the New Zealand dollar. So this is for New Zealand. This economic statistic is coming out for New Zealand, and et cetera, et cetera. So here you have, this is very important. This is what you need to focus on. You have the impact. how impactful is this economic statistic typically on the forex market? How does it make the currency pair does it make it very volatile? What are the logistics behind that? So just very simply, yellow is low impact, as you can see the highlight right here, low impact, right? So I don't really focus on those. Those kind of just give me an overarching view of what's happening in the economy. I don't really trade those. Sometimes I will, and I'll give you a list of basically the things I look out for. Only thing I really trade these yellow these low impact ones is for the euro, when they release all these three different PMIs over here. You can see this every month they'll release all these three different PMIs, or even the Spanish manufacturing PMI. They'll release a bunch of PMIs in a row, and it's very, very impactful on the currency market, as I've seen. But that's pretty much it. Everything else doesn't really have that much of an impact on the market for the yellow boxes. Now, you have the orange. Orange is medium impact. I still don't trade orange. It depends though on what the statistic is. For example, I wouldn't trade this. I guarantee you probably didn't have that much of an effect on the market anyway, or else I would have seen it. But manufacturing PMI is a very important statistic, and I'll have a list of all the statistics you should probably look out for. But PMI is very important, so I would have viewed this and at least try to set up a trade and see if it would have hit, and then my buy stops or sell stops. But then the most important one I always look out for are the red folders, the greatest impact. These are very high impact, statistics. And what it means by impact is that once it's dropped, once the statistic has hit, it's going to have an effect on the currency market. What is the likelihood of it affecting the currency market? And even if it affects the currency market, will it be immediate? Will it take a couple minutes? Will it take a couple hours? How long will it impact the market? So high impact typically has a very immediate and long lasting impact. These yellow boxes will typically have if they impact it at all, it'll be over a longer period of time, but it won't be immediate. It'll take some time for it to actually see the effect. Same thing with the medium as well. And to the right, obviously, you have the exact statistics that are being released. If I were you, I would go to the red boxes, the red impacts, and then research about these different statistics. What do they mean? You need to understand the very core of what these mean, because these are very, very important to trading. And this website actually helps you, but I would do additional research. But if you want to, you can go to the details and go over here to Calixon Manufacturing PMI. Click this folder, and it'll give you a whole list of things that you want to look out for. And it even gives you articles about this particular statistic, and the day it was being dropped, and what do people think about it? How do they think it's going to affect the forex market? But yeah, it'll give you a basic summary. So, for example, the usual effect, it says actual is greater than forecast. Oh, we're going to get to that in a second. But why traders care? Why do you care? It's a leading indicator of economic health. Businesses react quickly to market conditions, and so on and so on. You can just read this whole spiel right here, and it'll give you an overview. And that's the same thing with every other folder if you just want to check them out. Now, to the right is probably the most important thing on this page. Now, you will be giving, most likely, for each one, you're probably going to be given 3 numbers, okay? So, or 3 percentages, either one. And, depending on how, you want to read this folder and then check out how this number is really going to impact the currency. So, there's previous, forecast, and actual. So, previous is essentially what the statistic was last month, right? Or last quarter, whatever it specifies. So QQ means quarter. So last quarter was 1%. Okay. Now the forecast is what traders or speculators expect it to be. They expect it to be 1%. Okay. And then actual is what it actually was when it was released at 6:45 p.m. on Sunday. Okay. Now, the reason why it's in green is because this is positive, but that doesn't just mean because this number was bigger than the forecast or the previous that it's a good thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing. But you got to go in here and read it and see, okay, usual effect, the actual percentage, if it's greater than the forecast, it's good for the currency. That's why it's green. And we'll get into more stuff later, but basically what's important to note is that you want the actual. What you really care about is the forecast and the actual. The previous, not so much. Previous is pretty much irrelevant. What you want to trade is what the market expects right? If the actual is greater than the market expects, and that's good for the currency, then it's probably going to have a very good impact on the currency. It's probably going to make it value rise. But if the actual is less than what the market expected it to be, and that's bad for the currency, then it's probably going to go down, right? So it's that simple. This is pretty much all you need to look out for. This is just a quick introduction to Forex Factory. And when we get into scalping, we're going to start using this real time, and I'll show you exactly why this is very, very important.